First, it was Garrett Greene on Three Guys Before the Game saying he will be back next year as the quarterback for West Virginia University. Country Roads Trust have released a string of tweets on X yesterday talking about players that will be returning for the 2024 season. And in my opinion, the very biggest one has been secured. We're going to talk about that and other players right after this word from our sponsor. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing, ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I'm your Mountaineer Insider. Welcome to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Really exciting news coming out yesterday, guys. Country Roads Trust, who have gotten on it early, because retention is a huge part of the game when it comes to college football now, obviously. Garrett Greene on Three Guys Before the Game was the first big-name Mountaineer player to say, I'm returning for 2024. Want to finish what I started. And then we're kind of left to wonder. And there's a lot of players to wonder about on this team that's gone 8-4, that could go 9-4. And you kind of wonder, could West Virginia be poached? Had Stephen Ford on, the chief operating officer of the Country Roads Trust, a few months ago. And he said, listen, you turn these guys into 5-star players and we'll keep them. Guys like Wyatt Milum, Tomas Rimac, Brandon Yates, Garrett Greene, players like that. And lo and behold, in my opinion, if we were going to have a draft based on the West Virginia football team, the number one overall pick, in my opinion, because left tackle is probably, it's a top 3 position in football. You can't get around it. Quarterback, left tackle, pass rush, corner. Those are like the top 4. And so you started to look at it and like, okay, if I needed one person back next year to start, just to start with, it would be Wyatt Milum. And Wyatt Milum has committed to the Country Roads Trust and West Virginia University for the 2024 season. Really, really proud and excited of Wyatt Milum. In my opinion, he has the potential to be the best left tackle in the league next year and possibly right there in the country. He's got a chance to put himself in an elite position as far as draft stock goes. He allowed almost no sacks last year, guys. This is a team that allowed, I think, 3 or 4 total sacks on the year, maybe 6. And so, although we didn't pass it a bunch, we're going to pass it a lot more next year. They're very active in the portal right now. They're going after guys that are higher-end players. They're going after some lower-end players, too, to fill out the depth. But I think if we had a couple more pass catchers on this team, it's going to trend back towards the middle on maybe that 50-50 pass run option, which is actually going to be better for the offense as a whole. Then he started to look at it. What else do you need, right? Well, obviously, linebacker, it was a position of need last year, and in camp, they said this guy right here, Josiah Trotter, who obviously has an incredible pedigree. His brother was an All-American at Clemson. His dad is probably an NFL Hall of Famer. And in all signs pointed to him possibly being the best linebacker in camp. Preseason injury took him out. So we have, a kid that has no playing experience here, but has just a world of upside. And who knows? He's had a year to sit and learn. Give him a couple games to get acclimated, and he can have maybe a Travius Lathan-type impact on next year's team. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking about Trey Lathan, and I'm assuming they're just letting him heal up. Maybe he has things to think about. I'm not really sure. These guys are from the Florida area. He's put enough on tape, certainly, in the few games that he played to be highly, highly recruited. Unfortunately for us, right? So it's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. I have no inside knowledge about Josiah Trotter, but if you want to know about Josiah Trotter, tune into tomorrow's show. I will be having the Chief Operating Officer of Country Roads Trust, Stephen Ford, on my show. And we're going to ask him a lot of questions. So I'm going to be posting something on Twitter after this video goes out today, asking you guys some questions for the Country Roads Trust. Let's get to an article from Skylar Callahan. Talks about this. Mountaineers Now. 5 players commit to Country Roads Trust intending to stay at West Virginia University. This is a big month for West Virginia football in many ways. High school recruiting, portal recruiting, JUCO recruiting, and most importantly, player retention all takes place in December in addition to bowl prep. Following an 8-4 season, the Mountaineers appear to have turned the corner with head coach Neal Brown. They feel like they have a strong nucleus of players to build on this year's success in 2024. For that to happen, though, they need to keep other schools from poaching away the roster. 6 players have made it publicly known of their intentions to remain at WVU. Quarterback Garrett Greene told 3 guys before the game that anybody could call and he's not leaving. And then over the last couple of days, it was announced that offensive lineman Wyatt Milum, Brandon Yates, and Tomas Rimac, along with wide receiver Preston Fox and linebacker Josiah Trotter, have committed to working with Country Roads Trust, meaning they plan on remaining at West Virginia. A couple more big guys up front have committed to the Trust for the 2024 season. Thank you, Wyatt Milum and Tomas Rimac 5, for your hard work and dedication to our supporters. We're excited to announce Preston Fox, Josiah Trotter, and fly guy Brandon 1 are committed to the Country Roads Trust for 2024 to work with our corporate partners and members. We're looking forward to working with these guys. Milum, Rimac, and Yates were a huge part of West Virginia's success up front this season, so their return will go a long way in the Mountaineers boasting the top O-line unit in 2024. Preston Fox is an underrated contributor. He may not put up eye-popping stats, but he did a terrific job in the return game this year, and came down with a huge clutch catch in the win over Baylor that knocked him out of the game. According to Neal Brown, he will be questionable for the bowl game against North Carolina. Trotter was expected to play a big role in the defense this fall, potentially a starting role. Suffered a lower leg injury back in the spring that cost him his true freshman season. So that's a nice nucleus of guys, right? And not to be slept on either. Obviously, Brandon Yates and Tomas Rimac are extremely good football players. I think either of those guys can elevate themselves to all-conference player status in the coming year. And so we kind of wondered about the right side of the offensive line now. Isn't it an indictment against those players, maybe not having decided what's going on yet? Guys like Nick Malone, I think, is a given. I think he's going to stick around. But you look at like Jaquay Hubbard, guys like that who have some eligibility left that played a big role also on the offensive line. You wonder about him. And then there's obviously kids coming up through the wings like a Johnny Williams, players like that who have an extreme amount of upside that maybe they'll get their shot. I think West Virginia is going to look to the offensive line and the portal guys, at least try to add a guy on the right side, probably a tackle. Doug Nestor is going to be extremely hard to replace. And it's one thing to not allow any sacks on the left side of the offensive line, or very few. But to do it on both sides, almost impossible, and through the middle. So in order to replicate this, we're going to have to get guys with experience or elevate the guys that have already been here. Really can't start any newbies at the moment, in my opinion. If you just now, it could pay off at the end of the year, but we play Penn State week 1 next year. We got to have a solid O-line for that game to start out. Then you start looking around, guys. Preston Fox is a great piece at the wide receiver spot. Really would have liked to seen something from Rodney Gallagher, Traylon Ray, and those guys, you know. And I realize that there's a process to this, and maybe they're working their way down as far as through, from seniors on down. Maybe that's how they do it. To me, I would just go to my best 10 players first, right? But at the end of the day, they have a process. Drew Fabianch is there. They're going to be asking players for a commitment. And maybe some players don't know yet. Maybe some players need to talk to their family. And maybe some players are happy with their role. I know we're going to suffer some attrition. I just hope it's not a few certain players. We can't afford to lose Traylon Ray, Rodney Gallagher, Ben Cutter, Aubrey Burks, obviously Travius Lathan. I think those are the big ones, along with C.J. Donaldson and Jaheim White. And so I'm kind of going to be a little bit nervous over the coming days and weeks, guys, wondering about this transfer portal, as I know a lot of you guys are. But the guys I named off, one more time, let's go through them, I think. And maybe I'm missing somebody, but I'm talking about the main group of players. In my opinion, on offense, it's obviously what's left. Traylon, Rodney, CJ, Jaheim White, Hudson Clement is another pretty big one. And then you move to defense. Obviously, number one is Trey Lathan. I think he fits right into that middle spot. And maybe they're working out a big deal for him. And obviously Ben Cutter and Aubrey Burks. And those are the guys you really want to come back. On the defensive line, I hopefully all those guys return. Tomiwa is a big one. Mike Lockhart is another big one. In my opinion, we need a Jordan Jefferson in the portal if we can afford to get one. I think we need a big run stuffer in the middle. Fortunately, the guys we had there played well at times, but they got beat by some better offensive lines. So there's going to be, obviously, it's the portal, and you do what you can. So I'll be excited to see exactly how all this plays out, and obviously we'll update you as it happens. Let me know down in the comments, guys. How do you feel about Country Roads Trust signing these 6 guys? Is that a big deal to you? Are you excited to know that the offensive line is basically going to return intact next year, minus Zach Frazier and hopefully some other guys? Or are you worried about that? Do you want some other players that hasn't been, said they were returning yet? Are you worried about anybody? Are you hearing rumors? Let me know down in the comments, guys. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like the video as always, guys. If you like the video, it feeds the monster. The monster I call the algorithm. Without your likes, without your interactions, unfortunately, this video will go nowhere. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? It's free. And also, there's a join button down below. If you want to join the show, guys, there's 2 tiers that I'm going to be restructuring for next year. I think that there's a few things in there that I didn't get quite right the first time around. I'm going to try to rework it and see what other people are doing. So just give me time on that, guys. I certainly appreciate your time and all your support. But if you just want to support the show for now, please jump in there and join the show. 2 different tiers. Really appreciate you guys for sticking with me through all this. And try to share the video as well if you can. Don't forget, I will have Stephen Ford, the COO of Country Roads Trust, on. He has all the answers. Now, will he give them to us? I don't know. But that's the guy we want to talk to about these players. So that's going to be exciting. Be looking for that video tomorrow, guys. And don't forget, this has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over. I am out.